Hey guys, Boston Ramos, and unfortunately, the Miami Dolphins dropped to 0-3 after their Thursday Night Football loss to the Buffalo Bills, a 31-21 loss, and it did not look so bad for the Miami Dolphins. They were in the game pretty much almost the whole time. There were some stints there that Buffalo would extend the lead and things would look a little shaky for the Miami Dolphins, but they found their ways back into this football game after leading after the first drive. But you know critical mistakes down the stretch of the game cost the Miami Dolphins this one. They were completely in position, in striking distance to make a play at a win here. And it comes down to, unfortunately, the Zach Sealer hit the punter on the punt for a 3-and-out. And then Tua throws an interception on the possible game-tying drive. So then Buffalo goes down and kicks the game-winning field goal, the one that separates it and puts him up 10. So it's a really tough blow for this Miami Dolphins team, a team that it was desperate for a win, needing a win. The speculation on whether Mike McDaniel stays as the head coach is up in the air right now. I did say if they lose close, and I would define this as close. You were within one possession down the stretch of the game, and certain characteristics of the game played out, and it went against the Miami Dolphins. It is what it is. But enough of that. Let's get into the highlight. And full disclaimer, I do not own any of this stuff. So if NFL or YouTube tries to take this down or sections of the highlight down, if it has some weird jumps or if you don't even see the highlight at all. Let's check it out. Miami Dolphins playing Thursday Night Football at Highmark Stadium. Final time they will play at that venue. Sean McDermott, 7-0 against the Dolphins at home. Meanwhile, Mike McDaniel feeling the hot seat, and the Dolphins come out roaring in the first drive of the game. Ollie Gordon in the end zone for 6, his first touchdown of his career. But the Bills fire back with a Dalton Kincaid touchdown. Josh Allen's pretty pleased. And how about this one? Josh Allen gets a little creative on the rollout and finds number 85 right here for a little dump-off touchdown, his first of his career as well for the rookie tight end. But the Dolphins catch a lucky break with a Matt Prater wide left, and man, oh man, were they able to capitalize with this drive before the half. Tua finding Tyreek multiple times in the second quarter, leading the Dolphins down the field and putting them in a great position to strike back and tie this game up at 14 after the missed Prater field goal. And that's what they do with a Waddle touchdown. Tre'Davious White played a little bit too soft on Waddle, and he gets his own little celly in the end zone. But the Bills come roaring out in the second half with a James Cook touchdown. Josh Allen's very happy about it. Bills back in the lead. But Dolphins fire back with a Tyreek Hill touchdown. No celebration of the backflip there, but him and his quarterback on the same page. But this was a Zach Sealer crucial error that we were talking about. Hits the punter and keeps the Bills on the field. Mike McDaniel's like, come on, dude. Like, I need a break here. We don't blame him. Zach Sealer's a little upset with himself, and rightfully so. Dolphins were able to get a 3-and-out and unfortunately have to stay on the field on defense. And the Bills march down with a Khalil Shakir walk-in touchdown off of the swing pass. Bills love to see that. Ensuing Dolphins drive, Tua gets down the field but doesn't see Terrell Bednard in the flat, covering Waddle after he was eyeing him down the whole way through. Unfortunate for Tua there. Can't believe what he's seen. And then the Bills go on to kick the game-winning field goal, well, game-sealing field goal, let more say. Puts him up 10. Sean McDermott's happy. Moves up to 8-0 at home against the Miami Dolphins. Meanwhile, McDaniel questioning whether or not he's going to be the head coach of the Miami Dolphins moving forward. Tua and Josh Allen embracing at the midfield. So let's talk about the game. We're going to get into some stats, so on and so forth. It was a pretty great game, all in all. Back and forth. Dolphins had the lead early just because they had the opening drive. But we're in contention in this game pretty much through and through. Played one of arguably their best games so far this season. I know it's 3 games in. But this was the most complete Miami Dolphins game until the wheels fell off in the second half of that fourth quarter there with the Sealer penalty and the Tua interception. These are the way things unfold. And for a team like the Miami Dolphins, it's like clockwork. It just happens, It is what it is, man. Oh, man. So the Miami Dolphins got 2 more plays than the Buffalo Bills, but both of those came in the final drive. So pretty dead even game. Dolphins had 276 yards of offense. Meanwhile, the Bills had 360. Meanwhile, let's move on down. Penalties. Dolphins had 6 penalties for 57 total yards. Bills had 3 penalties for 35 total yards. And time possession was really close. Dolphins had the ball for 28 minutes and 13 seconds. Meanwhile, the Bills had the ball for 31 minutes and 47 seconds. Aside from that, Bills won the turnover battle. They got the 1 interception late in the game. But Dolphins were able to convert a 4th down. Dolphins were really efficient on offense. It wasn't a Jurassic game where Tua was throwing the ball around the yard. He was just being really efficient and picking up field, the first downs left and right. 10 and 15 on 3rd downs. That was really great. And Dolphins went 3 for 3 on the red zone. Meanwhile, the Bills went 3 for 4. So all in all, really, this is the most complete game so far this Miami Dolphins team has played. It sucks that it came down to the wire like that, and it did not go in their favor. That being said, Dolphins dropped to 0-3. Bills improved to 3-0 and are likely to win at least the AFC East for sure. But really, they're looking to be a team playing in February in the Super Bowl. Let's talk about the box score individual stats here. We got Tua going 22 of 34, 146 total yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 0 sacks. That was really good. There were a few moments where he's running around like a person with their hair like on fire, trying to evade a sack. And, sometimes it was just sit in the pocket for like another second and a half and you might have a viable throw down the field. And instead, sometimes he just escaped the pocket and either made a play or, unfortunately, did not make the best of throws, but it is what it is. Aside from that, Josh Allen, 22 of 28, 213 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, sacked twice for a loss of 10 yards. Achane was the leading ball carrier with 12 carries for 62 total yards. Ollie Gordon has so far his best performance as a rookie, 9 carries, 38 total yards, and a touchdown. He had a long one of 16. That was the longest run for the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins had 130 yards on the ground as a team. Not so bad, but would love to see a lot more of, sense of urgency and the play calls getting in earlier. Kind of a hurry up type of tempo offense because really stagnant moments there. And I get it. You're trying to bleed out the clock and make every possession count and be really efficient. And they were doing that really well until the final drive. On the Bills side, James Cook tore up the Dolphins as normal. Love it when the South Florida natives just literally just run all over the Dolphins. 19 carries for 108 yards, 1 touchdown. He had a long one of 26. Overall, the Bills had 157 yards on the ground. Tyreek Hill led the Dolphins in receiving with 5 receptions for 49 yards and a touchdown. He had a long one of 19. Waddle had 5 receptions for 39 yards and a touchdown. Achane, 7 receptions, 29 yards. And Malik Washington had 3 receptions, but everyone else just barely had any receptions. Tanner Conner had 1. Julian Hill had 1. So not too many guys getting involved in the offensive passing game, unfortunately. Meanwhile, for the Buffalo Bills, Dalton Kincaid had 5 receptions for 66 total yards and a touchdown. Khalil Shakir, 4 receptions, 45 yards and a touchdown. Elijah Moore, 2 receptions for 30. And then let's look at, where is he? Dalton Kincaid. I'm trying to find him. Why don't I see him here? Oh, yeah, I said him already. 5 receptions for 66 yards and a touchdown. Who else had the touchdown? Jackson Halls. He had a 1 reception for 5 yards and a touchdown. Let's keep it moving. Tua had a fumble. He recovered. It was not a bot snap. He just didn't handle the snap correctly and, picked up the ball and just tried to, run for the first down. Unfortunately, didn't come up close. Josh Allen fumbled the ball, but recovered it himself. And same thing for Brandon Corrington on a punt return. How about this for the defense? Tyrell Dodson was the leading tackler with 11 total tackles, 11 solo. He had a sack as well, a tackle for a loss, and a pass deflection, QB hit. Good job by Tyrell Dodson. He showed up to play. But one thing I want to iterate on the defense is just, really soft coverage. And a lot of the moments there where tackling was not great. And it was really, really, really frustrating to see, if you're going to let the guys catch the ball right in front of you, the least you can do is wrap them up and bring them down and be the first guy to contact them, bring them down. After that, Rasul Douglas, second leading tackler with 7 total, 4 solo. And then let's go to Ashton Davis with one pass deflection. His was clutch. It was a Dalton Kincaid in the end zone. Jack Jones with a pass deflection as well. Let's see, Bradley Chubb with a sack, tackle for a loss, and QB hit. And that pretty much goes for the defensive stats there. For the Buffalo Bills, we have Teron Johnson with 8 total tackles, 6 solo. He had 1 tackle for a loss and 1 pass deflection. Terrell Bernard had 7 total tackles, 5 solo. He had a tackle for a loss, pass deflection, and an interception returned for 24 yards. Shaq Thompson, 1 tackle for a loss. Tre'Davious White, 1 tackle for a loss and a pass deflection. And Daquan Jones with a tackle for a loss. And last but not least, Joey Bosa with a QB hit. So all in all, Dolphins, and Tua was able to keep the pocket clean for the most part. I know he had to break contain for a few amount of plays, but at the end of the day, he made the necessary plays to not go down and extend plays and keep drives alive. So Tua did good. The offensive line did pretty well as well. Let's keep it moving. Don't really care for anything special team related in terms of punt returns, kick returns. Kicking, Riley Patterson went 3 for 3 on extra points. Matt Prater went 1 for 2 on field goals, which was a 48-yarder to close out the game, and then 4 for 4 on extra points. And punting, Jake Bailey, 4 punts for 200 yards. 1 was in the 20, longest of 56. And then Cameron Johnston, 2 punts for 95 total yards, longest of 48. So that pretty much sums up all the stats for this game. Listen, if I'm Stephen Ross, it's a really hard decision to make right now. In the last 2 games, you've had this team come out, compete, be in positions to win, or, have a moment where they could possibly threaten to win the game, and they come up short. I would say the week 1 performance, throw it out. It was a fluke. It happened. Week 2 and 3, against divisional opponents, games are tight. You play a well game, and things just don't go your way. It's how things shake out in the NFL for the most part. But the evaluation needs to be there, and a decision will more than likely be made within the next 12 hours, whether or not Mike McDaniel will be still on the sidelines for the Miami Dolphins. I believe he will still stay there. In the last 2 games, they've shown nothing but being a competitive team and wanting and having that will to win. And, mistakes on both sides of the ball by, some of the more reputable players on the team have cost them the games. So, got to limit mistakes. That is first and foremost. If you are getting penalized for stupid things, if you are hitting the punters when you're finally getting a crucial stop, can't have that happen. I love Zach Sealer. It's unfortunate that he was the guy that did it. But then you have Tua throwing the interception when, the Dolphins were able to get close and stay in the game. So, you have your more formidable players making those mistakes, and it's really unfortunate. Going back on what I said about how the Dolphins can win this game. They had to be efficient. They were doing that pretty much all game long. Lots of, you can call it checkdowns, but I would just say, just the correct throws. Just keep on, live to see another down. Fight for another down, get down the field, keep it moving. Defensively, get to Josh Allen. Josh Allen got sacked twice, but they were meaningless sacks, honestly. It's crucial that the Dolphins needed the pass rush, and it didn't feel like it was there for this game, and that was unfortunate to see. I think, it was a very lax type of defensive approach. It wasn't, all right, we're going to throw blitzes every now and then. No, it was, we're sending 4 guys every play, and if the guys can get there, put pressure on them, good. If not, whatever. And the Bills, played that into their own hands. A lot of the times they had 6 guys in the backfield protecting Josh Allen, so they always had a back or a tight end staying there and helping Josh Allen and the offensive lineman, making sure that he stayed protected. So it is what it is. But aside from that, I wasn't thrilled with how the Dolphins came out and played today. I'm upset with the final result, but at the end of the day, this is how things go in the NFL, and it was too close to call, but it got decided very in the ending stages there. So, am I happy with the result? No, not entirely, but I'm happy with the performance. And, this is not a team that's dead in the water. This is not a team that's, giving up on the coach. I think they're all on board now. Whether the fact of the matter is if ownership wants McDaniel to stay there, then that's all a story for a different day. But for right now, I think he's staying as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, and expect to see him on Monday Night Football against the New York Jets. So that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.